There should have been a lot more victories, I think, in the midterm.
Oh, it should have been a crushing defeat. The Republicans should have a huge majority. We should have picked up seats in the Senate. We should have won in Arizona and Nevada. It was disastrous.
The RNC election tragedy.
Mr. Reagan.
Feminism is trying to kill masculinity. Let me give you a few startling statistics. Testosterone levels have been declining for decades in America. Sperm count is decreasing. Men's strength is decreasing. Actual research proves this. And this is, I believe, at least partly due to the cancer of feminism. I mean, I don't really understand it, but okay. They're bitter, they're nasty women. But why do male politicians go along with it? Well, one of the reasons might be it's a lot easier to control a society when you take out the men. Without masculinity, how can Americans resist tyranny? But it's not just the sociological programming. The dang chemicals in our water are also messing us up. A lot of plastics release estrogenic chemicals. For example, water bottles, plastic utensils, food containers. Our whole environment is trying to make us feminine. Most of us eat junk food a lot of the time. We have a sedentary job like being a YouTuber, and this is making the men in America weak. So what do we need to do? How do we fix this? You gotta lift weights. Everybody knows it. A lot of us, we don't do it. Another thing, you need to get high quality sleep. This is something I have been able to do lately. I've been working on it for about a year, and I finally got good quality sleep again. Another thing, get more sun. Everybody knows this. We gotta go outside. We gotta do things outside, even if it just means taking a walk. And finally, take Turkesterone. And I'm not gonna call these steroids because they don't have any of the nasty side effects that steroids have. But let me tell you, it helps increase muscle mass, it helps you cope with stress, helps with fatigue, it increases your energy, and it helps with weight loss. Overall, this stuff helps you become the best, most masculine version of yourself. And you know, before these guys actually contacted me to do this, I was already taking this stuff. You guys know I lost a bunch of weight last year, and I was taking this stuff so that I could burn as much fat off as possible while retaining as much muscle as possible. This really was one of the things that I was taking. So when the guys at Black Forest contacted me and they were like, "Can you promote this stuff?" I was like, heck yes, this stuff is great. So look, go to blackforestsupplements.com/Reagan, use promo code Reagan to get 10% off, and get some of this stuff. The link is in the description below.
Recently, there was an election you may not have heard of. This was the RNC election, the Republican National Committee. Now, the Republican National Committee is critical to Republicans winning elections in America. For many years, the RNC chair was a woman by the name of Ronna McDaniel. And most prominent conservatives think Ronna McDaniel is useless. So recently there was an election and we had an opportunity to replace her with somebody that everybody thought was really competent by the name of Harmeet Dillon.
We have open warfare in the streets, particularly they're picking on people who are vulnerable. Of course, people don't have weapons in these cities. It's virtually impossible, even after the recent changes at the United States Supreme Court, to get a carry permit here in San Francisco. And so law-abiding taxpayers who are prosperous are sitting ducks for criminals with no recourse whatsoever. And this is happening in other states as well. Actually, this culture and this ethos is being exported to the entire United States. And we're powerless right now with the Democrats running the show to do anything about it. And so that is why one of the reasons I'm running for RNC chairman, to make sure that the Republican Party fights back on these issues aggressively all over the country.
She's fantastic. She's fantastic. I'll tell you why she's fantastic. Because she committed to bringing on board, if she were elected RNC chairman, one of my good friends. His name is Scott Presler. And when recently we had this election, Ronna McDaniel won again. Harmeet Dillon lost tragically. I said, who am I going to talk to? I'm going to text Scott Presler himself and say, what the heck is going on? So here he is, my good friend Scott Presler. Thank you, Scott, for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me.
All right, so what is the RNC and why are they so critical?
So the RNC stands for the Republican National Committee. And basically, they're the national head of the Republican Party, the figurehead for the entire GOP in America. And so Ronna McDaniel is the chairwoman, and she makes the decisions. Which states get money, which states get staffers, offices, where we do voter registration. Is Arizona going to be a priority? Is Georgia going to be a priority? Are they going to discount California and New York, where we had huge congressional victories in the 2022 election? Many people didn't understand the process, or maybe weren't even aware of it. And so it took a lot of education, but we really emailed, posted on social media. We lobbied these RNC members. It was the overwhelming base of the Republican Party that vehemently wanted change. And Harmeet Dillon was our change agent. And that's why we saw all of this anger that is continuing into today. They feel that they're used for door knocking and used for phone calling and fundraising. And yesterday was a slap in the face to many of these voters that aren't getting paid to do this work and that are doing it on a volunteer basis.
Yeah, you're sort of presenting this as a kind of war between, I would say, regular Republican Americans and the establishment.
Oh, it's evident that this is a proverbial and peaceful war. I mean, look no further. What has changed since the 2022 election, which should have been a massive victory for the Republican Party? Instead, we lose a Senate seat in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We only have a narrow majority in the House, and we still have Mitch McConnell. We still have Tom Emmer. We still have Chairwoman Ronna McDaniel. Nothing has changed.
There should have been a lot more victories, I think, in the midterm.
Oh, it should have been a crushing defeat. The Republicans should have a huge majority. We should have picked up seats in the Senate. We should have won in Arizona and Nevada. It was disastrous. And so when I hear that RNC members are claiming victory and saying, we defeated Nancy Pelosi, the bloviating is honestly, and I'm going to say this nicely, it's nauseating for them to claim victory.
We both believe that a lot more could be done. I think a lot of prominent conservatives believe a lot more can be done. Harmeet Dillon seemed to be the answer to that. Given the failures, I mean, real failures recently, and given the optimism we had about Harmeet Dillon, why do you think that the members still voted for Ronna McDaniel?
Ronna, she's not stupid. She's smart. She's been doing this for over 6 years as the head of the party. And so she's probably been making some deals with people and telling them, I'm going to offer this for your state. I'm going to make sure that you have X, Y, and Z. And what I heard from some RNC members is that they signed on to a letter, right, saying that they were going to support her. And that was before anybody else jumped into the race. And so a lot of these people, they had already stated that they've given their word, they've given their support, and that they would be turning against their word if they were to support another candidate, which I believe is a bunch of baloney. And I think that other people were afraid to either publicly not support her or even to, in a secret vote, choose a different candidate because they were afraid of retaliation. Look at New Mexico. With all due respect, New Mexico just came out and said they were proud to support Ronna McDaniel for these reasons. And I'm thinking, New Mexico, you aren't winning elections. And in fact, a seat that you just won in 2020 flipped blue again. So what is the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. To see these blue states continue to vote for the status quo, to me, is just mind-boggling.
Harmeet actually tweeted this a bit ago here. She wrote, many supporters for a fourth term for Ron McDaniel at the RNC explained it like this. Ronna asked me first before there was any actual race, as you just said, and I gave my word. And then she writes, y'all, this is not the school dance. This is the future of our party and our country. Duty is doing the right thing. And I could not agree more.
Yes, I'm sorry. It's even when people are running for office, for congressional, whatever races, it doesn't matter if you're my friend. I can love you. You're wonderful, Mr. Reagan. But if you were running for office and there was somebody vying for the same seat that I believed was better qualified to serve our country and its people, as much as I like you, I'm going to do the right thing and support the candidate that I think is the best for the future of our country. So I'm sorry, this isn't about friends or alliances or any of that. This is about the future of our party, which is why I tweeted out today, because I'm understanding of everybody that's listening. I hear you. I get your frustration. Trust me, I'm one of the original Tea Party supporters. I get that you want to pack up your bags and just leave the Republican Party, but we have to realize It's the Republican Party leaders that are letting us down, not our values and principles and beliefs. And our country is not going to be able to sustain another 4 years of a Democratic president or Joe Biden. This is it. We have 2 years to get it right, to lay the foundation, and to prepare to make Joe Biden a one-term president. And we have to be that change, because nobody is coming to save us.
So the final question, the most important thing, I think, what do we do now? I know that you have a real plan. You actually have real actionable things that we can do. So I want to give you a chance to express your ideas of how we start winning again.
Well, on Monday of this week, I launched Early Vote Action, which is a super PAC, and it's dedicated. We're not going to be choosing primary winners and losers. Our goal is simply to lock in as many Republican votes early as humanly possible, and in all of the above approach to voting. So I'm talking Election Day, early in person, mail-in voting, absentee voting, and where legal and applicable, ballot harvesting. And the goal is, look, the Democrats know where we are going to throw the football. That's why in Arizona, it was disastrous for us to tell them that we were going to wait to vote on Election Day. Because when the majority of Republicans waited to vote in Arizona, what happened on Election Day? An estimated 30% of machines and polling sites in Maricopa County coincidentally had tabulation errors on one day that the majority of Republicans were voting. Wyoming has no laws or statutes that prohibit ballot harvesting, meaning it's legal in the state of Wyoming, but Wyoming is controlled by Republicans. This is how red states become purple and purple become blue. So we have to use the time that is available to us now to pass election integrity legislation. And at the same time, we have to be forward thinking about not only preparing to have early voting infrastructures in Arizona, North Carolina, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Those are the 5 states that Early Vote Action is working towards, because if we win those states, we will reach over 270 necessary electoral votes to elect our next Republican president. But it also means understanding that this year in 2023, we have important races that we need to win. So the number one focus and priority right now that we need everybody to have their attention on is Wisconsin. Wisconsin has a state Supreme Court race on April 4th. The current makeup of the court is 4 Republicans to 3 Democrats, and 1 Republican is retiring, meaning that if we don't win the seat, it will flip from 4-3 Republican to 4-3 Democrat. And we know that in states like Wisconsin, a swing state, there are going to be legal battles. It is going to be litigious, so we must win. But we also have the opportunity to flip the governorships of Kentucky and Louisiana, where I've already been to Louisiana this year to start setting up the infrastructure, meeting with volunteers, training them. And so while we're preparing for 2024, we're focusing on the now, passing election integrity legislation, and I will soon be making the ballot harvesting manual available to everybody that goes to earlyvoteaction.com. So I'm not keeping all the secrets to myself. I'm creating a toolkit to share with volunteers that they then can go out into their communities and get more people into the Republican Party and locking those votes early.
Earlyvoteaction.com. So you can go there, you can get this ballot harvesting manual for your community and the folks that you know in order to figure out how to do this where you live. But also, this is Super PAC, right?
Yes.
So you can donate money to this, and you can help Scott Presler out in his mission to win elections. Because I do think that, I was talking to my dad before we did this interview, and I was telling him what we were going to talk about, and he goes, you know what? The DNC is so much better than the RNC in every conceivable way. They always win because they always play dirty. And the Republicans need to figure out what the Democrats are doing, and we need to do it better than them. And, maybe not play dirty is the right expression for what we're trying to do. We want to play clean, but we also want to play smart. And I think the counterbalance to Democrats fighting dirty is Scott Presler, ladies and gentlemen. This guy is working harder than anybody I know to actually win votes for Republicans. So, Scott, is there anything else you want to say about the whole situation and what we need to do?
I just want people to stay focused on the overall picture here. We're fighting for freedom, and we're using the vehicle of the Republican Party in order to secure that freedom for the next generation. Don't give up. We're going to turn our anger into action. We're going to register voters. We're going to lock in votes early. We're going to focus on winning elections in 2023. And we're going to prepare to take back the White House in 2024. And so if you're interested in joining this alternative to the RNC, please visit earlyvoteaction.com. And the last really cool aspect that I just want to briefly focus on, Mr. Reagan, is there are a lot of people that maybe live in Los Angeles or Chicago or Massachusetts. If you do, I'm so sorry. No, I'm just kidding. And so those people, they talk to me and they go, Scott, I'm in a blue area, in a blue state, in a blue district. I feel so helpless. What can I do? Well, my goal is we have something called the Sister City Project, where I'm going to pair deeply blue areas like Los Angeles with swing districts or swing states like Nevada in an effort to utilize those underutilized Republican volunteers to flip areas from blue to red. So Tennessee, which is solidly Republican, can help shore up votes in North Carolina. We can use Jersey to help flip the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and we can use Chicago to help win in Wisconsin. And that's not even the best part. And so we can use Alabama, North Dakota, Wyoming, all of those red states can help, for example, defeating Tester and Montana, or helping in other blue parts of the country. Florida can help Georgia. There are limitless opportunities to utilizing people who feel helpless, and I can redirect them into action.
Because the critical points of the country are these purple areas.
Yes.
Yeah, and you're figuring that out.
Exactly. The majority of places are already decided. Mm-hmm. There are, an estimated 300 districts that it's always going to go blue or it's always going to go red. We're going to focus on those vulnerable purple ones and redirect resources to flip them our way.
Scott, how did you and Harmeet not win this? This is ridiculous. You need to be in there, but I'm glad you're doing what you're doing. What's the website again?
earlyvoteaction.com.
Okay, everybody, go to earlyvoteaction.com right now. Check out the ballot harvesting manual just to check it out, just to see what Scott Presler did there. He put a lot of work into that. And just kind of think about what you can do. If you got money to donate to super PACs, I think this is probably the best one you can donate to. So, Scott, thanks again for coming on. I think you kind of clarified everything for us. And I don't think people are aware of how critical the RNC is or this election was. And, other than people like me who follow this all the time, I don't think people are really, but on Twitter, obviously everybody's like losing their minds. Like, what happened? How did this happen? But yeah, so the regular voter needs to see this. They need to know about this. It is kind of an in the weeds political thing, but maybe it shouldn't be. Maybe it should be a little bit more out in the open. Hopefully we've done that today. So thanks again, Scott Presler. I think one of the best guys in politics today. It's an honor to have you every single time.
Thank you. And I look forward to returning to Los Angeles. Thanks again.
Yeah, I'll see you, man. And hey, I'm glad you got better. You were sick for a little while.
I was
kind of out of it.
Yeah, I'm doing so much better. I think I pushed myself so hard. My body just finally was like, you need some rest.
yeah. Well, I'm glad you got it. And we were all praying for you, and you look great. So congratulations, and we'll see you on here again.
Thank you.
All right, well, that's it for me, guys. Remember, it's not that our liberal friends are ignorant. It's just they know so much that is not so. Good night.
What is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation. Well, isn't this the liberal philosophy? The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.